3 days after changing the pool gate code, Marcus returned home from a grueling night shift. His scrubs still carried the antiseptic smell of the hospital, and dark circles shadowed his eyes. He'd spent 12 hours managing a multi-car accident, saving lives while running on nothing but adrenaline and coffee. All he wanted was a hot shower and his bed. As he turned into his driveway, the sound of laughter and splashing drifted over his fence. For a moment, he thought he must be hearing things, exhaustion playing tricks on his senses. Then Diana Ross's voice floated through the air, the music far too loud for 8 a.m. on a weekday. Marcus unlocked his back gate to find an incredible sight. Elaine and 3 other women, all in designer swimwear, drinking mimosas on his pool deck. His new patio furniture had been rearranged into what they clearly considered a more suitable configuration. His grill had been pushed aside to make room for a portable bar setup. One woman was floating on what appeared to be Marcus's brand new inflatable lounger, still in its packaging when he'd left for work the night before. For a moment, he stood frozen, wondering if he'd somehow entered the wrong backyard or if sleep deprivation had finally caused him to hallucinate. "There he is," Elaine called out, raising her glass in a mock toast. Her swimsuit proudly cost more than Marcus's first car. "Ladies, this is Mark, our new neighbor." "It's Marcus," he corrected, his voice tight. A blonde woman with an impressive sun hat waved dismissively. "We've been using this pool for years, sweetie." The Andersons understood the value of community. "Did the Andersons give you a key?" Marcus asked, noticing his sliding door was slightly ajar. The security system he hadn't yet activated was clearly no deterrent. "Oh, we've always known where they keep the spare," another woman replied, as if this explained everything. Finding his voice, Marcus straightened his shoulders. "I appreciate that you had an arrangement with the previous owners, but this is my private property now. While I'm happy to host properly arranged get-togethers, I can't have people entering my yard when I'm not home." The temperature seemed to drop 10 degrees despite the blazing sun. Silence fell as the women exchanged glances, communicating volumes without words. "Well," Elaine said, placing her glass down with deliberate slowness, "I suppose some people weren't raised to understand common courtesy." The blonde woman sniffed. "This pool has been part of our Thursday morning routine for years. And now it's part of my mortgage," Marcus replied firmly. "Please gather your things." With exaggerated sighs and muttered comments, the women collected their belongings. They moved with glacial slowness, making it clear this was being done under protest. Elaine was the last to leave, pausing at the gate. "The HOA has very specific rules about nuisance properties," she said sweetly. "Pool maintenance, noise levels, appropriate plantings. They're quite vigilant about enforcement. Just something to consider." That night, despite his exhaustion, Marcus installed security cameras at each corner of his yard. He changed the locks on all doors and set up the security system. The next morning, he watched the footage from 6 a.m. Exactly as he'd suspected, it showed Elaine testing his gate, her expression darkening when she discovered the code had been changed again. Later that afternoon, Marcus found a notice in his mailbox, his first official HOA violation warning. Apparently, his pool chemical balance posed a serious health concern to the community. The inspection had occurred while he was sleeping after his night shift. The form was signed by the HOA president, but the handwriting on the additional notes section looked suspiciously like Elaine's elegant script. After years of grinding through 12-hour shifts as an ER nurse, Marcus Reynolds finally clutched the keys to his dream home, a modest ranch-style house with one spectacular feature, a glistening backyard pool. The sapphire water beckoned to him as he stood on the back porch for the first time as owner, the weight of a decade's worth of saving and sacrifice lifting from his shoulders. On moving day, as the summer sun beat down mercilessly, Marcus's friends, mostly fellow healthcare workers who understood the value of his achievement, heaved the last of his furniture through the front door. They collapsed by the pool's edge, laughing about finally having a vacation spot to visit. "Man, I still can't believe you pulled this off," said Janal, Marcus's closest friend from residency. Remember when we were both eating ramen in that shoebox apartment during our first year? Marcus popped open celebratory beers, passing them around as he watched sunlight dance across the water's surface. Every double shift, every holiday worked, every crazy night in the ER. It was all for this moment, he said, raising his bottle in a toast. As they celebrated, Marcus noticed a middle-aged woman in designer sunglasses watching intently from the adjacent yard. Her perfectly highlighted hair framed a face that might have been attractive if not for the sour expression that formed when she caught his eye. She quickly disappeared inside her immaculately landscaped property. "What's up with the neighbor?" Jamal asked, following Marcus's gaze. "No idea. Guess I'll find out soon enough," Marcus replied, turning back to his friends. "Now, who wants to be the first in the pool?" Later that evening, after his friends had departed and the house had fallen quiet, a sharp knock at his door interrupted Marcus's unpacking. He opened it to find the woman from next door, now dressed in crisp white linen pants and a silk blouse that probably cost more than his monthly mortgage payment. She held a fruit basket wrapped in cellophane that seemed more obligation than welcome gift. "Hello, I'm Elaine Winters," she said, her smile tight and practiced. "I thought I should introduce myself, since we'll be neighbors." "Marcus Reynolds." "Nice to meet you," he replied, accepting the basket. "Would you like to come in?" "Sorry about the boxes everywhere." Elaine peered past him into the house, her gaze calculating as she took in every detail. "You'll find this is a very particular neighborhood," she said, emphasizing each word as if speaking to someone who might not fully comprehend. The Andersons, the previous owners, always understood the importance of community resources. Before Marcus could respond, Elaine's focus shifted toward his backyard, visible through the glass patio doors. Her expression softened with an abrupt, unsettling sweetness. "I usually swim laps at 11 a.m., she stated matter-of-factly. "The gate code is still 1234, correct?" Marcus blinked, momentarily stunned by the presumption. "I'm sorry, what?" "The pool gate," Elaine clarified, as if explaining something obvious to a child. "The Andersons always make sure I had access. It's practically a neighborhood tradition. I've been swimming there for my arthritis for years." Marcus shifted uncomfortably. "I wasn't aware of any arrangement like that." Elaine's smile didn't waver, but her eyes hardened. "Well, I'm sure once you settle in, you'll understand how things work here. We're very close-knit." She glanced at her watch. "I should let you get back to unpacking. Welcome to Oak Ridge Estates, Marcus. I'm sure we'll be seeing a lot of each other." As she turned to leave, Marcus couldn't shake the feeling that her welcome came with unspoken expectations. He closed the door slowly, looking down at the fruit basket with its perfectly arranged contents and professionally tied bow. Somewhere beneath the cellophane, he could already smell something beginning to rot. The cease and desist letter Lauren had sent to Elaine triggered an eerie week of silence. No peering over fences, no AHOA complaints, no passive-aggressive notes in Marcus's mailbox. The neighborhood felt unnaturally quiet, like the stillness before a storm. "Maybe she finally got the message," Jamal suggested during their weekly phone call. "Your sister's legal letterhead probably scared her straight." "I don't know," Marcus replied, watching the sunset from his pool deck. "It feels like she's planning something." 5 days after the letter, Marcus was floating peacefully in his pool at sunset. After a particularly difficult shift involving a lost patient, he needed this solitude, the gentle lap of water against the pool's edge, the fading gold of daylight on his closed eyelids. For a moment, he almost forgot about the neighbor from hell. Then a shadow fell across his face. Marcus opened his eyes to find Elaine standing at the pool's edge, clutching a thick manila folder. She wore white linen pants and an expensive blouse, as if dressed for a business meeting rather than a backyard confrontation. Her body vibrated with barely contained fury. "Jesus!" Marcus gasped, scrambling to maintain his float. "How did you get in here?" "I have owned this house for 22 years, she hissed, ignoring his question and flinging the folder open. Papers scattered across the deck, some fluttering into the water. 22 years of building this community while people like you come and go." Marcus treaded water, maintaining his distance as she advanced along the poolside. The security cameras were recording, but that provided little comfort with Elaine clearly unhinged. "Do you know what these are?" she demanded, pointing at the papers. "Precedents, legal documentation of neighborhood easements, and communal use traditions." This pool was listed as a shared amenity in the original sales documents. "That's not true," Marcus said calmly, swimming toward the shallow end, away from her. "My real estate attorney reviewed everything. There are no easements or shared access requirements for this property." Elaine's face flushed crimson. "I'm on the board of the Lakeside Community Association. My husband is a principal investor in the development company that built this neighborhood. Do you really think you can win this?" As her voice rose hysterically, Marcus pulled himself out of the pool at the far end and reached for his phone on the nearby table. Something in Elaine's eyes changed, a flash of calculation replaced by raw, unfiltered rage. "Don't you dare record me," she screamed, lunging forward. Her Louboutin heel caught on the wet concrete, and in a surreal slow-motion moment, her arms pinwheeled as she toppled sideways. The splash was spectacular. Her designer outfit billowed around her as she plunged into the deep end, papers from her folder now floating like lilies on the pool's surface. When she surfaced, mascara streaming down her face, something had fundamentally broken in her composure. "You push me," she shrieked, despite the 3 security cameras that had captured every moment. "This is assault. This is attempted murder." Marcus stood frozen, phone recording, as Elaine thrashed toward the pool steps. Her words devolved into incoherent threats, lawsuits, criminal charges, restraining orders, connections to judges and police chiefs, all shouted between gasping breaths and punctuated with choked sobs of pure outrage. "The cameras recorded everything, Elaine," Marcus said quietly. "You trespassed, you fell. I never touched you. Do you know who I am?" she screamed, her voice cracking as she staggered up the steps, designer clothes plastered to her body, makeup creating grotesque streaks down her face. "I will destroy you." As she stumbled toward the gate, leaving a trail of pool water behind her, Marcus noticed a strange silence had fallen over the neighborhood. Through windows and over fences, he could see other neighbors watching, some with phones raised, recording the spectacle. It was as if a spell had been broken. The Empress had no clothes, and everyone could finally see it. On the hottest Sunday of the year, Marcus finally had a full weekend off. The temperature had climbed past 95 degrees by noon, making his pool not just a luxury, but a necessity. His sister Lauren had driven over with her children, 10-year-old Zoe and 8-year-old Amir, both vibrating with excitement about their uncle's new pool. "You sure you don't mind us invading?" Lauren asked, helping Marcus set up the grill. Her children were already splashing in the shallow end, their laughter echoing across the yard. "Are you kidding? This is exactly why I bought this place," Marcus replied, watching his niece and nephew with genuine joy. Besides, after dealing with Elaine, having actual invited guests feels downright rebellious. Lauren raised an eyebrow. "The neighbor from hell you were telling me about, has she backed off?" "Somewhat. I think the security cameras made an impression, but I still catch her watching whenever I'm out here." Marcus gestured vaguely toward Elaine's property. "It's like having my own personal surveillance system." They spent the afternoon in blissful normalcy. The burgers were perfect, the watermelon ice cold, and the children's energy seemingly inexhaustible. For the first time since moving in, Marcus felt truly at home, the golden afternoon light making everything feel almost dreamlike in its perfection. That dream shattered when 2 police cruisers screeched into his driveway, lights flashing. Marcus was in the pool with Amir, teaching him to dive for pool rings, when the officers appeared at his gate. "Sir, step away from the child and exit the pool immediately," one commanded, his hand hovering near his weapon. Confused and alarmed, Marcus complied, lifting Amir out first, before climbing out himself. Lauren, who had been dozing on a lounge chair, was suddenly wide awake, quickly gathering Zoe from the other end of the pool. "What's going on?" Marcus asked, reaching for a towel. The lead officer, a stern-faced woman with her hair pulled back in a tight bun, stepped forward. We received a 911 call reporting a suspicious male with possible abducted children. The caller was extremely distressed, claiming there was dangerous activity endangering minors. That's absurd, Lauren interjected, pulling her children close. I'm their mother. This is my brother's house. Madam, we need to see some identification, another officer stated firmly. As Marcus retrieved his wallet and deed from inside, Lauren, a family court attorney by profession, began recording the interaction on her phone. Her legal instincts were fully activated. This is harassment, she said to the officers, her voice calm but authoritative. And I believe I know exactly who made that call. As the officers examined their IDs and property documents, their initial suspicion gradually transformed into embarrassment, then irritation. The senior officer's radio crackled with an update from dispatch. This is the fourth false emergency call this month in this neighborhood, she muttered, shaking her head. We're stretched thin as it is. From over the fence came the unmistakable sound of a cell phone camera clicking. Marcus turned to see Elaine standing there, not even attempting to hide, documenting the humiliating scene with an expression that mixed satisfaction with outrage. When she noticed the police officers looking her way, she quickly ducked behind her hedge, but not before Lauren captured her clearly on video. That woman, Lauren whispered to Marcus as the officers prepared to leave, has no idea who she just messed with. Filing a false police report is a criminal offense. She looked down at her shaken children, then back at the retreating police cars. This isn't just obnoxious anymore, Marcus. It's dangerous. What if something had gone wrong during this interaction? Marcus watched as his perfect Sunday disintegrated, the children now subdued, the light-hearted mood evaporated. But through his anger, he felt a strange sense of resolve forming. This had gone far beyond a neighborhood dispute about pool access. Elaine had crossed a line that couldn't be uncrossed. The security footage of the pool incident spread through the neighborhood messaging app like wildfire after Elaine filed assault charges against Marcus. By the time the police arrived at Marcus's door, for the second time that month, 3 different neighbors had already forwarded their own security camera angles showing Elaine trespassing and falling unassisted. We're not pursuing this, the officer told Marcus, looking tired. And we've had a conversation with Mrs. Winters about misuse of emergency services. What no one expected was how quickly the situation would transform their quiet suburb. The morning after Elaine's disastrous pool plunge, Marcus found an elderly couple, the Johnsons from 2 doors down, standing nervously on his porch with a loaf of homemade banana bread. We saw what happened, Mrs. Johnson said, her voice quavering slightly. Elaine has been difficult for years. She's been borrowing our garden tools without permission since 2015, often doesn't return them. Mr. Johnson nodded. When we mentioned it, she reported our rose bushes as a code violation, said they were too close to the property line. By the end of the week, Marcus had collected a dozen similar stories: parking space appropriation, unauthorized yard entries, false noise complaints, attempts to get pets removed, and vicious rumors spread about anyone who challenged her. Marcus's sister Lauren, now representing him pro bono, organized a neighborhood meeting in his backyard. The irony of using the disputed pool area wasn't lost on anyone. What started as a legal discussion about harassment quickly turned into an impromptu support group for Elaine survivors. She told the HOA, "My holiday decorations were offensive," shared a woman named Rosa. They weren't. She just didn't like that they were for Diwali instead of Christmas. When the doorbell rang midway through, the gathering fell silent. But instead of Elaine, it was Howard from the HOA board, clutching documents and looking nervous. "She's not actually on the board," he confessed, accepting a glass of lemonade with shaking hands. "She's been telling everyone that for years, but she was rejected 3 times for, well, personality conflicts." The revelation broke something open in the community. Suddenly, text chains formed, security camera footage was shared, and decades of pent-up frustration found productive outlet. The restraining order against Elaine was just the beginning. The HOA issued fines for her documented violations spanning years. 3 families filed their own legal actions. Most devastatingly for Elaine, her husband, who traveled constantly for work, returned home to discover the neighborhood chaos and the resulting local news coverage. 6 weeks later, moving trucks appeared outside Elaine's house. No one saw her during the packing process, but her husband hosted a somber apology gathering for immediate neighbors, explaining that they were relocating across the country where Elaine would be getting the help she needs. As Marcus helped carry a box of recovered community garden tools to the Johnsons' house that evening, a text lit up his phone. It was from the family moving into Elaine's old house, a pediatrician, her wife, and their twins, asking if he might help them learn pool maintenance since they'd never owned one before. 1 year later to the day, Marcus's backyard was once again filled with people, but this time it was the neighborhood's first annual block party. As children splashed in the pool under careful supervision, adults shared potluck dishes and stories. Marcus, now HOA president, reluctantly elected after founding the Neighborhood Watch program, raised a toast. To good fences, he said, smiling at the faces around him, both the ones we need and the ones we're brave enough to take down. As laughter rippled across the yard, his sister Lauren nudged him, pointing discreetly to where the elderly Johnsons were teaching the twins from next door how to float on their backs, everyone's faces alight with happiness. Worth every bit of drama, she whispered, and Marcus couldn't help but agree.